Although this looks almost exactly like an Audi Q5, this is actually the all-new Audi Q3. It is their smallest crossover vehicle on sale in the United States. Audi loves to design their vehicles to look very, very similar, but when you start taking a look at the size of the vehicles, it's obvious how different they are. This is about 10 inches shorter than an Audi Q5, and most of that difference goes right to interior legroom, especially rear seat room. We also get about 2/3 the cargo capacity as that larger Audi model. This is a Graco Classic Ride 50 child seat. It is a convertible seat suitable for forward or rearward facing installation and children between 4 and 50 pounds. Let's see how well they fit on the inside. One of the first things to do, of course, is to move the front seat as far forward as is possible and safe. I want about an inch of room between my knees and the dashboard. I want to sit in as upright of a position as possible to give the rear seats the most legroom as possible. The surprising thing about the Q3 is that we actually have a little bit more room in the back for child seats than I found in the Audi Q5. If you recall in my Audi Q5 review, I was not able to sit in front of a rearward facing child seat, but in the Q3 I am. You may be wondering how that's possible when the Q3 is smaller than the Q5 and we have less combined legroom on the inside. A lot of it has to do with the way the front seat moves and the shape of the dashboard. It allows you to move this front seat much further forward in the vehicle than I could in the Q5 comfortably and safely for my body shape, and it actually allows me to put a rearward facing child seat in the back seat. This seat is at the proper angle. It may look a little bit strange in the video, but according to this raceway right here, there's a little ball in a racetrack, sort of a level device to tell you that the child seat is at the appropriate angle, and it actually is in the Q3. Now we don't have as much width across the back in the Q3 as we do in the Q5, so I was not able to put 3 of these Graco Classic Ride 50 child seats across this rear bench seat like I was able to in the Q5. However, a rearward facing child seat is just about as accommodating as most of the compact crossovers, which would be one size category up. I should also say that in the back I have a decent amount of headroom. Our model does have the optional panoramic roof, but I can actually sit very upright in this back seat. It's a decent amount more headroom than you'll find in some of those compact crossovers as well. When it comes to anchors, the outboard seats do have latch anchors, although they do use these removable and then snap back in covers. That's not my preference because those are a little bit easy to lose. However, I do like the fact that the center seatbelt actually comes out of the seat itself rather than out of the ceiling. That makes it much easier to install a child seat in the actual center of the rear bench. The cargo area in the Q3 is shaped very much like the Q5, and the hatch is shaped very much like the Q5. We get this sloping hatch design, which does cut down on the trunk space just a little bit, and the tail lamps are all on the hatch right here itself, and they go into this little cutout area right here. Now, unfortunately, this area is not usable in the cargo area of the Q3, even though it seems to be mostly empty. If you open these panels on the side, it's basically a blank area, and then there's some electronics in one side, but not in the other. In terms of absolute storage numbers, we get about 2/3 the cargo capacity that we find in the Audi Q5. That means that we can barely put a 26-inch roller bag right here, a 24-inch roller bag right in front of it, and barely close the hatch. It does require a little bit of extra motivation because the electric hatch closer will not like this bag in this position, but if you close it by hand, it will close. That leaves us a small amount of room right over here on the side. Helping improve practicality just a little bit is a pass-through right here behind the center armrest in the rear bench seat. Although the Q3 is not as large as the Q5, it really surprised when it comes to accommodating child seats. Now you should be aware that I was not able to put a rearward facing child seat behind me as a driver, only as a passenger in this particular vehicle. That's just the trade-off for the overall size of the Q3. However, that's still a little bit more practical than many of the vehicles one size category up. So something like an Audi Q5, a Volvo XC60, I was not able to put a rearward facing child seat sitting right there behind myself. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. Be sure and check out the complete review on the 2015 Audi Q3 on my channel as well, and I'll see you next week.